I'm going to preview the 2 seed Marquette versus 11 seed NC State men's basketball game. Some people are going to ask, why are you going over this particular game as a preview? I like a good Cinderella story. I mean, NC State would have not have made the NCAA tournament if they didn't win a conference tournament in 5 games of 5 days, to be honest. And Marquette is favored by 6.5 points, and the game will be played on CBS on March 29th at 6:09 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to go over stats for both of these teams as well as keys, and I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. And I know which players are not going to be able to play based on what I've done in my research on. So, Cam Jones, I mean, in terms of injuries, and not like they don't hardly play. Obviously, I would know that based on the stats. Cam Jones, 17.1 points per game, 2.9 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, 1.2 steals per game, 2 fouls per game, 1.3 turns per game, 41.4% on threes on 220 attempts, 72% on free throws on 75 attempts. And it's Tyler Kolek, which I know he's been out some, and he's playing in the NCAA tournament. 15.3 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, 10.9 assists per game, 2.9 turns per game, 0.9 fouls per game, 1.6 steals per game, 39.7% on threes on 116 attempts, 85.4% on free throws on 89 attempts. And is also Igodaro, Igodaro, I apologize if I butchered that. 13.6 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game, 2.9 assists per game, 1.3 blocks per game, 1.1 steals per game, 1.8 turns per game, 2.2 fouls per game, 0 for 2 on threes, 63.1% on free throws on 141 attempts. So that's that. And David Joplin as the next guy here. 11 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 0.9 blocks per game, 0.8 steals per game, 1.8 fouls per game, 1.2 turns per game, 36.7% on threes on 196 attempts, 71.2% on free throws on 66 attempts. And it's Stevie Mitchell, 8.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 1.9 steals per game, 2 fouls per game, 0.8 turns per game, 28.1% on threes on 64 attempts, 76.3% on free throws on 59 attempts. So that's that. And it's Chase Ross, that averages 6.3 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, 1.2 steals per game, 0.8 turns per game, 1.9 fouls per game, 37.3% on threes on 67 attempts, 70.9% on free throws on 55 attempts. And honestly, Sean Jones is out for the year. I'm not going to mention him. There's Ben Gold as what I'm going to mention here, and that's 5.1 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 1.9 fouls per game, 36.2% on threes on 116 attempts, 53.3% on free throws on 15 attempts. And there's Trey Norman, that averages 2 points per game, and I know that's not much, but you gotta consider the role players here. 1.1 fouls per game, 18.9% on threes on 37 attempts, 55.6% on free throws on 9 attempts. And the last player I'm going to mention is Zaid Lowry, 1.6 points per game, 0.9 fouls per game, 31% from 3 on 29 attempts, 64.3% on free throws on 14 attempts. So that's all the guys I'm going to mention on Marquette. Now, NC State, I know they have a few guys that one's out with illness, like personal, one's out for, like Parker Jr. out with indefinitely with the illness, and there's Thomas for personal reasons out for the season. So I am not going to mention those two guys in particular here. Okay. Okay, DJ Horn, and he's a big dude. 16.7 points per game. I'm not talking about the height and weight either, but look how it plays. 3.3 rebounds per game. 2.1. All right, actually, that's a guard. My bad. But the big guy, yeah, that I'm going to mention on here sooner rather than later. But he's still one of the best players on the team, DJ Horn is. That's a definite. 1.4 steals per game, 2 fouls per game, 1.3 turnovers per game, 40.6% on threes on 239 attempts, 81.4% on free throws on 102 attempts. Now the big guy is DJ Burns. That's who I thought I was talking about first in terms of stats. So I apologize. 12.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 2.7 assists per game, 0.6 blocks per game, 2.4 fouls per game, and 1.8 turnovers per game, 20% on threes, but that's on 5 attempts, 67.7% on free throws on 93 attempts. And there's Jaden Taylor at 11.5 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game. 1.2 steals per game, 1.9 fouls per game, 1.6 turnovers per game, 36.4% on threes on 165 attempts, 76.8% on free throws on 138 attempts. So that's obviously another. And there's Casey Morsell, 11.4 points per game, 2.8 rebounds per game, 1.1 steals per game, 2 fouls per game, 0.9 turnovers per game, 27.3% on threes on 132 attempts, 80% on free throws on 120 attempts. And there's Mohamed Jara, or Diarra. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. 6.4 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game, 1.1 blocks per game, 0.7 steals per game, 1.5 fouls per game, 0.7 turnovers per game, 34.4% on threes on 61 attempts, 65.7% on free throws on 67 attempts. Ben Middlebrooks at 5.8 points per game, which he was good in that first round game, and that's huge whenever there's a guy that could step up off the bench. 4.2 rebounds per game, 0.8 steals per game, 2.7 fouls per game, 0.7 steals. Turnovers per game, 7.7% on threes on 13 attempts, but 73.7% on free throws on 118 attempts. There's Mitchell Connell, that's at 5.7 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game, 0.8 steals per game, 1.2 turnovers per game, 1.7 fouls per game, 36.6% on threes on 71 attempts, 84.1% on free throws on 44 attempts. So not a ton, but he could. Okay, Parker's out indefinitely with the illness. I am not going to go over that. Guy, but as of right now, and he's like 4.7 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game. Just to give some clarity there, and the last player I'm definitely going to mention is Beyond Pass and Brennion Pass. 1.2 points per game, 5 for 13 on threes, which is 38.5%, 62.5% on free throws on 8 attempts. So, yeah. And it's practically all the guys. But besides, on the other stats for Parker Jr., by the way, on Dennis Parker Jr., 1.1 fouls per game, 0.7 steals per game, 0.7 turnovers per game, but he could shoot the ball a little bit, but not great. 38.8% on threes on 39 attempts, 53.8% on free throws on 39 attempts, if he is able to play. Which supposedly he's out indefinitely with the illness, but you never know. For both of these teams, you want to limit your foul trouble as much as possible and get the best players in the opposing team in foul trouble. You don't know about the officiating, so you got to play through the contact. You got to play through the whistles. You got to be the more mentally tougher team. You got to take care of the ball while forcing turnovers. You got to rebound the other team while getting second chance points while limiting those. You got to limit the fast break points in the paint, 3-point line. Transition while you're gonna, and don't let them live at the free throw line either. Well, obviously you want to do the exact opposite on offense. You want, I mean, you don't want to turn the ball over so much, and especially if it's a live ball one. But even still, not a live ball one, you don't want to do that too. So you gotta make adjustments on the fly, both offensively and defensively. Not just first half to second half, but time after timeout. You don't want to have like illegal screens or offensive fouls. You gotta keep your composure. You don't want like a flagrant one or a flagrant two, or a technical foul and all this. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens and all in this game here. But it's March Madness. Anything can happen. And you want to contain the shooters, contain the slashers. I mean, you don't want to give them any clean looks. Make the opposing team uncomfortable offensively and defensively. So, anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later. On the road to 600 subscribers, or ultimate goal is 1,000 or more. So, make money off this. Of course, liking the video, commenting the video really helps YouTube algorithms. More people can see it. Sharing the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching and subscribe, hit subscribe button. It's free notification bell as well. And once again, will be played on March 29th at 6:09 p.m. Central Time on CBS.